Well, here we are again, staring down the barrel of another 10-2 season, which in any other town in America would feel like quite an achievement, but for some reason feels like such a colossal disappointment year after year here. Some of you didn't allow yourself to believe, and you know, you're the lucky of us because the rest of us have to feel this way year after year. I don't want to hear anyone saying anything about Sharon Moore's emotional display in his post-game interview. If you think for 1 second that there would have been a single dry eye in that Penn State locker room had that game gone the other way, uh, you're just out of your mind. It's hard not to be moved by an emotional display such as what we saw, well, those of us who kept the game on long enough, um, after this game. There's certainly a fine coming, a couple fines probably for more for the language he chose to use in expressing his emotions. From his position, he felt like the entire college football world wanted them to lose that game. And they went in and they just overcame everything, not only what Penn State was showing them. Although I do think Michigan did leave some meat on the bones. They did enough to win in this game. Penn State's defense, I think, also did enough, more than their fair share, to have an honest shot of winning. The offense did not. One guy's scheme won, the other guy's scheme lost. And Manny Diaz didn't call a bad game at all. Drew Aller certainly wasn't good enough at times today, leaving a lot of throws behind guys. But all in all, I think it's more of a schematic problem. You saw him a couple times frustrated with the play calling. You saw him throwing his hands up in the air after some unsuccessful run plays, saying, "Well, what did you think was going to happen? You've run that play every single first down." I saw the same thing out of Ben Roethlisberger at the end of his career, being frustrated with Matt Canada. Penn State didn't lose because Drew Aller fumbled that ball away. Uh, Mike Yurcich was putting the ball in Drew Aller's hands a little bit too much. And he's a quarterback, not a running back, so I don't know what you expect from him in terms of ball security. You're kind of asking for something like that. I always like to urge people to take a step back before criticizing game plan and play selection, just because it's so hard to judge those things in the moment. But I think we do have some serious questions about today. I don't want to deflect attention from Franklin, because if there is a criticism to be made of him, it is his in-game X's and O's type stuff. I think he is as good as it gets on the recruiting trail as far as getting guys, capturing and keeping teenagers' attention and getting the recruits that you need into your program. In the NIL world that we're moving into, that's becoming ever more important. So his value is only becoming greater. But if there's a criticism to be made, it's on the X's and O's side, and a lot of those decisions should be delegated to the coordinators. And he has a really great hire in Manny Diaz, who is getting buzz from USC. They had talk of him heading out west for a lateral job. I don't know why he'd do that at this point. But on the other side of the ball, Mike Yurcich, I think there are some questions to be asked there. In the past, my attentions were directed at the offensive line, strength and conditioning, filter outline, those buds. You can tell a lot about a man by if you look him in the pants. And the story that a lot of the Penn State offensive linemen, the story that their pants were telling the last couple of years, and I don't want to single out the white dude from the group, but Mike Miranda, I hate to throw your name in there, but you specifically, the story their pants were telling was not impressive. This year we thought we finally had the formula down with Olu, a certain first-round pick coming out, and a good supporting cast around him. J.B. Nelson wasn't slated to be a starter on this team, and he only is in the position that he's in now because of the unfortunate situation with Landon Tangwall. But coming into this year, I was as high on him as any, and he was my guy with a star next to him. You never like when it takes that path to having to find a starter when the guy before him has to go down in a dramatic way. But I thought that we had a good one in our hands. But the decision to go for the 2-point conversion, I think Joel Klatt said it on the broadcast. He would have kicked it there and would have gone for the 2-point conversion at the end when he knows what he needed to get. Many would argue that Penn State was probably technically already out of the game at this point, and the only reason that it was still worth talking about was because Blake Corum got that quick score, and we got to possess the ball again. I didn't have a problem with the decision to go for the 2-point conversion. What I had a problem with was the decision to go with the swinging gate. If you're going to go for it in that situation, go for it. The T formation that's worked for them so well in those short yard situations last year has been figured out to an extent by defenses this year. But feeling like you need to trick them to run a trick play there is kind of an admission that you have no confidence in your offense's ability to convert on schedule. And by the way, on schedule was a phrase that I never need to hear again in my life after today's broadcast. Joel Klatt, it's his favorite two words in the English language, on schedule. In that situation, call one of the plays that you're most confident in. Don't try to trick them. Save that play for, you still have to score again. If you're going to trick them, save it for when you need it. It's hard to criticize the play selection being so run heavy on Penn State's side, because when you look at the other side, they didn't call a single pass play the entire second half, and they executed more than well enough to win that game. It makes it real tough to recruit when there are two teams that are clearly ahead of you at the top of the mountain, and you're trying to talk people into coming and playing for you and trying to take them down. And it's even that much harder when you're a team like Maryland and there's three teams that are clearly ahead of you in your division. But with the breaking down of the division alignments, with the expanding of the college football playoff, so many more avenues open up into success in the college football field. I think that's going to be a great thing for parity. I think you're going to see the talent distribution level across the Big Ten and across college football start to normalize. And that's going to be great for these smaller schools and the teams that haven't legendarily been great forever, for as long as we can remember. For other teams to get a chance to make a name for themselves and to get a seat at the table in the Legends Conference. If James Franklin continues to struggle and still can't get over the hump under the new alignment for a couple years, then I think we're going to have serious questions for him. But until then, I think it's X's and O's stuff. I think we talk about Mike Yurcich and talk about play selection, and we maybe take a look to see who's going to be available. And we know Michigan State's in the market for a new coach. We know Northwestern also. Michigan's probably going to be looking we wait to see the finalization of what happens there, but you can't imagine that just a 3-game suspension is the end of it there. But it's not like it's going to be easy to talk one of these guys into coming here, but it seems like we are just a piece away as far as the coaching staff is concerned. And James Franklin's good at talking those teenagers into coming to Penn State. Maybe he's just as good at talking some middle-aged dudes in as well. So